Can everybody just sit?
Come up closer so there's going to be no mic.
Everybody buzzed off? Everybody?
Yes, yes. Should I say that?
That's okay.
Okay, everyone turn off your cell phone. Thank you.
Just come closer?
Yes.
I don't even.
Yeah, everyone move up. Everyone be Idan, all the way to the front. We need you for VIP right in the front. Famous doctor, come on up. Right up to the doctor front. You're a doctor, you need to be in the front. There you go.
Ready to go? Everybody can hear me? Good? Everybody can hear me or no? Good? Yes? Okay, perfect. Let's go. Okay, today's class is sponsored to all the singles so they can get married and find their soulmates. So it's funny, I see Rabbi Katz, I've been helping him out for 20 years, and I remember myself throwing parties in the same South Beach. Literally 20 years ago, I used to promote parties, and I guess this is my rectification, to bring singles together. So it's funny how the world comes around. I can tell you very simple that Rabbi Nachman changed my life. My whole mission today is really to bring out his teachings and to bring it into a practical advice. Rabbi Nachman has maybe 20 Torahs on how to find the soulmate, the connection between money and the soulmate, what a person's mission in the world is. If a guy's playing defense and he's supposed to be playing offense, that's the beginning. That's why it's very important to have the right perception and the right dot. That's the purpose of these classes. We have over 10,000 people in our WhatsApp group. We give classes daily, so after the class, you guys give me your numbers or go on my website. So it's continued. Because one class is not going to change you. It's a series of classes. Little by little, you'll be able to change your perception. Thank God I've been able to coach a lot of singles. I've been able to set up a lot of people. But there's a specific formula that needs to happen. It's not, if you do the same thing you've always done, you're going to get what you've always gotten. So I keep on telling, something has to change. Hashem does not change. We have to change. This is my second marriage. After I got divorced, I got remarried in 30 days. I had the formula, I knew what to do right away, and literally my wife came to my door. So there's a formula to this, and you have to, again, you have to give in. Not only give in, but a person has to realize he has to starve his distraction and feed the future. And we have to understand that we can't go on our impulses. Some of the stuff is for the men, and some of the stuff is for the women. Again, I'm not a rabbi. I was put in this position from heaven to do this. I do this literally because I was forced to do it, and this is my mission in my life. I run addiction centers. I have a drug rehab. I have detox centers in Florida, so I'm very familiar with the addiction world. I'm very familiar with pretty much everything. So I started taking all these teachings and basically put it into the world. So we know men and women have two different tikkunim. Tikkun for men is his eyes. Tikkun for men is the Brit. If anybody studies here Kabbalah, we know that the last Sphira, the last 10 Sphirot, there's one right by the Sphira, right by Malchut, which is called Yesod. Right? For men, if the channel is not flowing because there's a disruption in the pipe, what happens? There's no shefa. For women, she's rooted more in kavod. A woman, all she wants to do is be right. All she wants is kavod. Why? Because Eve, this was Eve's mission. What did she seek? She seeked pride. So her whole life is a tikkun on her pride. So this is where both of our tikkunim are. Men is the Brit, woman is pride. Rav Nachman says in lesson 87 that a person could lose his soulmate if he's not careful with his Brit. I knew that already. So either we're going to talk about it exactly. Don't worry, we're going to talk about it. Some of the stuff you're not going to want to hear exactly, but again, I'm not here to talk about 750 relationship books you buy. I'm here to get you things that work. I've dealt with the singles, and again, just be open-minded. I know it's South Beach, but be open-minded. Be open-minded again. Be open-minded. It works 100%. I've set hundreds of people up, but again, there is a formula to that. So what are the 5 to 6 steps that I've seen that have worked to find a specific soulmate? First, we have to spend more time on a relationship with God instead of, basically we have to focus on becoming the one than looking for the one. It's not a lack of light. Anytime a person wants a specific amount of light in his life and the vessel is not there, it's not a problem with the light, it's a problem with the vessel. The vessel is not matching the light. So very important. If a person prays, please God, give me my soulmate, without working on himself, it's like asking God to change his mind. He never changes his mind. We have to focus more on basically obstructing what's causing the light not to come to me. That's more of the work. It's just like a diet. No matter what you eat, it's what do you need to eliminate? What do we need to eliminate from our diets that are really going to get you the success? So a person can eat good food, but if he's not eliminating the toxic things, basically what happens? He's never going to see results. So the same thing. So the first thing is we have to spend more time praying and less time swiping. Hashem knows exactly who your soulmate is. So if a person's spending, he should spend 99% of the time praying for the soulmate, and then he'll get it through prayer, then look 99% of the time looking for it, and 1% of the prayer. That's a recipe for disaster, right away. Right away. Because anything you receive without prayer, it's detrimental. Anything a person receives something without earning it, it's not going to be good for him. That's the first thing. So the struggle in prayer, the struggle with the bad dates, and still hanging on, and still praying and not giving up, that's where you build the vessel to get what you want. You just spend time swiping, no, give me another girl. I mean, I have guys that come up to me, again, I've set up a lot of people. I have, again, 10,000 people in my WhatsApp group. In New York, we had maybe 500-600 singles. So I know the people, I know the players, I know the game. And they want to tell me, listen, they're dating a girl they're not supposed to be dating. And they tell me, listen, when you find me the right girl, I'll get rid of my girlfriend. That's like a guy telling you, when you give me money, then I'll be happy. No, the sacrifice has to be, the first person has to make the first sacrifice, is to do what he has to do. So Rav Nachman says in 87, which is just coming from the Zohar. It's not coming from Oprah, it's not coming from the Oxygen Channel. It's coming from the Zohar. Rav Nachman says that the number one segula for a man, he says, now, in the blemish of the Brit is when a person has too much physicality. The physicality blocks the spirituality. Again, I know you guys sound completely crazy here in Miami Beach, but the physicality blocks the spirituality. Once you give a guy what he wants, he's done. That's the bottom line. And what happens when you get too physical with a guy? It creates klipot. What are klipot? What are klipot? Klipot are shells. Klipot are negative things that all of a sudden will confuse the person. That's the problem. So what is he saying here? Now in the blemish of the Brit is concept of the derech. As Rav Nachman says here, that when a person is not careful with this department, specifically this is our test for men, he can actually lose his zivug. He can actually lose his soulmate. How do I lose my soulmate? If I'm not careful, then I'm not looking for my soulmate. So again, we have to focus more on if we're just looking for a wife that's going to give you the trophy, you have to marry a wife that will help you get the trophy, not just go for the trophy wife. A person needs to go for a wife that's going to be the second half of him. Imagine you're in a business relationship. Would you go out with a guy who's not going to benefit your business? So the purpose of our wives is basically she's the second half of our soul. So if we just look for a cheerleader without looking for a coach, you're never really going to succeed. Because the purpose of a wife is to correct you on what you need correcting. The Arizal says that a woman, she has no tikkun here except to help the guy get to his mission. Men get reincarnated all the time. But the woman, the Arizal says, she's here only to fix the guy, complete his mission. Because she's the second half of his soul. So it's very important. So we're looking, what am I looking for? I'm looking for the second half of my soul. I don't want just some chick that's not going to complete me. I'm looking for depth. I'm looking for a girl that's going to complete me. What am I, for example, let's say I'm an air sign. I need a girl that's more grounded. Let's say I'm a fire sign. I need a girl that's more water. Something to basically complete me where I'm not holding. It's very important. We don't want just a girl to tell you how great you are and tell you everything's great in your life. Meanwhile, she's your corrector. She's your mirror. So again, don't just look for cheerleaders, you need to look for coaches. Now, if the coach is not coached properly, the coach gets fired also. So the coach also has to have there's a way of saying things. So that's the number one thing. The person has to go through a relationship to give and to see what is he missing. Rav Nachman says in lesson 188 that it's particularly a man's job to find the second half of the soul. He has to find his object. So what happens is when we get too much physicality before the relationship, what happens is it blocks your judgment, and then you're basically connecting to an emotion. And you don't know if this guy's the right guy, she's not the right girl, it's all emotions. And at the end of the day, he gets nothing, you get nothing. And nobody gets nothing, and the same things will keep on happening over and over and over again. So that's why I've done spiritual challenges for men, where it's 40 days of tikkunim, where they perfect their vessel, and then once they perfect their vessel, they attract the person they're supposed to be intended to. There's not one person that I've set up that has not gone through this first spiritual cleansing, and then the mate happens. Because what is he doing? He's perfecting his vessel. Again, you probably never heard of this angle before, but you could see the system's not working. It's the same people in the parties, the same IDF party, with the same people are dating. Nothing has changed, let's be honest. You know, I got married, I got remarried, I said, holy, same people, I can't believe it. What's going on? What's not happening? So again, women are much more spiritual than men, in general. So it's more the job for the men to starve their distractions and eat up their vision by saying, I'm looking for a wife, not just a hooker. And unfortunately, again, if we don't have the dot, what happens? We never feel, I don't know if she's for me or not. I don't know if she's here, if she's for me. Because what happens is your heart's not telling you what you're telling you. So that's what he says here. And occasionally, as a result of this blemish, it's possible to lose one's zivug. Let's say all of a sudden, you find her. And what happens? You find her after, let's say, 10 years. Next thing you know, you have a very rocky first year of marriage. Why? Because there's a cleansing. Anytime, especially in spirituality, you want to receive something you never had before, you need a cleansing. The cleansing is obstacles. The cleansing is mother-in-laws. The cleansing is dealing with people's emotions. But it's a tikkun, it's a cleansing. Depending on how far I went from my zivug, is the amount of cleansing I need. So again, if we're smart, we just focus on the cleansing and we deal with the challenges completely different. That's why everything is, again, everything is perception, the way you look at it. So we can't say there's no guys in Miami, we can't say there's no girls in Miami, we can't say it's like a guy telling you there's no jobs in Miami. You're looking in the wrong places. What do you mean there's no jobs in Miami? There's tons of jobs. You hear people, yeah, there's no jobs in Miami. Of course there's jobs in Miami. You're just looking at the wrong places. Oh, you're not fitting what you need to get. End of story. But what would you tell a guy? No, I can't find any jobs. The question's afterwards, please. So if a guy tells you there's no jobs in Miami, it's the same thing. Limited mindset. What we don't want. So again, either we're attracting what we want, or we're attracting what we don't want. Specifically for men. What you're attracting, the person all of a sudden says, you know what? When I read, one of the biggest game changers from Rav Nachman's teachings is when I was 20-something years old. It says sexual impurity leads to poverty. What? What does one thing have to do with the other? After I saw that, delete. I had no more phone numbers because I had enough leverage to say, I didn't know this leads to financial problems. So once I realized that the connection between that and Parnasa, once I fixed what I needed to fix, then all of a sudden my business has changed. I had different clarity. I was a different person. So I didn't realize it was connected to dating. I don't want to say what kind of people. So it's very connected. So once I knew that, I said, listen, what do I need to do next? Not why me, what's next? What am I doing next? So for the guys, there's a tikkun klali, there's specific things that will allow you. The purpose of prayer is not so you can change God's mind, it's so you should want different things in life. You know, a guy's dating, and he's dating this girl, she knows it's not for him. But prayer allows you to change what you want, to change for better things, more closer things to your soul. So again, either we're attracting or we're chasing our soulmate away based on what we're doing. So again, the first thing has to be a sacrifice. And this is what he says. This is because this rectification will allow him to either, she will be in the word derech means in the way. Either she's in the way of him, or the way, or she's going away. The same thing. Let's say a guy has shalom bayit issues. It could be his shalom bayit issues is because all of a sudden, let's say during the day, that he was talking to some girl all day long. And next thing you know, his wife comes home and she sees that her energy is completely focused. Her energy is not focused on her. The energy is focused on somebody else. So if she's Moroccan, she'll throw a lubricant at you. And then she says, where have you been? Where have you been? What do you mean where I've been? How do you know where I've been? Because she senses it. She senses that her light is going somewhere else. Women have intuition. Men have chachma. Chachma means thought, wisdom, but women have something that men don't have as good, is intuition. She has an intuition to know if some girl is trying to speak to you, if where your focus is somewhere else. There's nowhere to hide. That's the bottom line. There's nowhere to hide. She has that intuition. That's where she was born. And this is from the sage who says, the Hebrew word for the word vayivaneh comes from the same word as binah. Binah means intuition. She has intuition. Now, if a man is smart and he marries the right girl, she could be an intuition for business partners. Let's say some guy, you're in business, and some guy all of a sudden wants to rob you. You think, wow, look at this guy's business plan, he's great. Look, it makes sense. How could I not do the deal? And then your wife tells you, don't do business with this guy. He's a crook. What are you going to tell your wife? What do you know about the business? Why are you judging him? What do you know about this? She can feel that somebody's taking her soul. Somebody wants to take something from her soul. So she tells you, stay away from that guy. And you fight with her. And what happens? You lose the money, and what does she tell you? What does she tell you? I told you so.
I knew it.
But if you don't have the dot, see, every problem today is lack of knowledge. Now I know that my wife is an antenna. And she's going to keep the wrong people away from me that are trying to steal from me. Because that's the gift that God gave her. So I know I need to listen. That's what the Gemara says. If your wife is short, bend down and listen to her. Listen to her because she's telling you something. You need to listen for your own good. So if I marry some girl from the Philippines, she's not going to have the antenna that I need to get. So when we marry the right girl, we get the antenna because we're one soul. So what am I doing with these girls? What am I doing with the wrong type of girl? I'm not getting what I'm supposed to be getting. It's costing me my business. It's costing me my happiness. It's costing me my kids. What is it costing me? People only change when they have enough leverage to change. So you got to say, listen, it's costing me my pranasa. It's costing me, my head's completely confused. Every business deal I'm doing is turning bad. Maybe I'm with the wrong girl. Maybe I'm not focused on the right girl. And because your wife will generally complete you. She's the second half. That's why the Gemara says that Parnasa comes on account of his wife. Why? Why would my livelihood come on account of my wife? Because the wife has the intuition, and the wife is the female aspect of the soul. These are very important concepts. This is a very important concept. So now when I'm dating, I need to be in a whole different mindset to see when I'm dating. Is this person going to make me grow? Is this person going to make me a better person? Is this person going to complete me? Or is this somebody that's going to look good in front of a bunch of people? Or people are only looking for 10s. You have to look for a good 7 and make it into a 10. So you're just looking for 10s, you're going to get disappointed. You need to get a good 7, and through the peace in the relationship, through the love in the relationship, you will be blessed and you will turn it into a 10. But if you're just looking for 10, you're positioning yourself to lose. Guaranteed to lose. And that's what's happening. That's what's happening. I see people suffering. And again, I understand pickiness. You have to have the attraction. But the too much pickiness is costing you long-term success, long-term happiness. What is it costing you? You have to ask yourself, what is it costing me? That's a better question. What is it costing me? So now we know for men, the main job for men is his brid. To be able to not get too physical, everybody knows what I mean? Not to get too physical, because the physicality will confuse me. And once I'm confused, you got a problem, because you don't know who's your wife, who's not your wife, and then all of a sudden we start making bad decisions. And then 70% into marriage, 60% into marriage, you know the potential of these people? You know how many single girls there are? There's just, how could it be? It's like a major disconnect. But the problem is, again, it's all in lack of knowledge. I knew what I had to do when I was single. I knew what I had to look for. I knew what I had to stay away from. So again, if you love yourself, you're not going to lose yourself. If you don't love yourself, then you lose yourself. That's the formula. Self-esteem 101. If you love yourself, you'll invest in yourself. You'll put 40 days of spiritual cleansing. You'll make sure to delete the wrong girls the number you need to. And then you'll attract your wife. But if I don't love myself, then why would I put an effort in somebody I don't really like? That's what you have to ask yourself. So, again, these classes are very to the point if I'm offending somebody. But again, all I care is about getting results for people. I'm not into fluff, I'm not into this. I'm like, okay, this is what you gotta do, this is what needs to happen. Just like an addict that comes from my facility. I can't give him fluff. I gotta tell him, what are you running away from your addiction? What are you running away from? You know, an addiction is an attempt to solve a problem, and you're running away from yourself, by the way. What is an addiction? He's running away from himself. His true self, he's running away from. So I don't have that much time to get people in that state. But again, everything is the lack of knowledge, and the knowledge comes from the Torah. Where else are you going to get it? Okay? Rav Nachman says here, well, let's talk about money. How do we connect to money? We know, again, if we look in Kabbalah, the last sphere is called Malchut. Malchut represents Emunah. Malchut represents responsibility. When I take responsibility, when I sign the ketubah, I will honor my wife and I will provide for her. In a ketubah, you have to provide for her. You have to be the responsible person. First, a man has to take the responsibility, like it says here. Anyone who would guard his loins to assume the role of a provider to supply livelihood for those dependent upon him must be a man of stalwart man, must be a man of confidence, not a shlamazel. Shlamazel. What is a shlamazel? I have a problem. I can't take it. I gotta get high. Not dealing with life. We can't numb emotions in life. There's 4 things you do with emotions. Either you numb them, they're addictions. Either you suppress them, you vent them out, or you transform them. The only way that I can transform my emotions is through faith. Faith. Person doesn't have faith. How is he going to be able to think greater than he feels? How is he going to be able to? Only through faith. So we have challenges in our life, and I can't tell you, there's not one day short of challenges. Imagine being married to somebody, business is down, the stock market's down, and the guy has no faith. What is he going to do? What is he going to do? No coping skills. God forbid, addictions, and you know how many phone calls I get, wives with the big. Let him listen to a tape. It's his mindset. No, he doesn't want to be bothered. But his thinking is causing that problem. I don't want to be bothered. Leave me alone, etc. So what do you do? What do you do? What do you do? So that's why it's so important. That person has to refresh his soul constantly. So Rav Nachman says the key element is not to be a shlamazel, but to have confidence, and the confidence will give your wife confidence, and then the light that you give her, she gives it right back to you. But what happens if a guy has no confidence or self-control? Then what happens? He becomes a threat. So instead of shining the light into her, he doesn't get any light back. All of a sudden she panics. She's panicking. He's panicking, and you get a problem. And then there's no bracha, there's no mazal in the relationship. So it's very important here. So when guys tell me, listen, I don't know if I want to get married. I want to take my time. Okay, how much time do you want to take? Like how much time? Is there ever a great moment to get married? Yeah. Probably never. Right. How do you like that? Because you're going to learn on the way. You think just because you're married, it's a game show? Box 1, perfect marriage. Box 2, tons of headaches. Let me make sure I get the right box. No, Absolutely not. Through picking the right, either way, you're going to go into some kind of a war. And then through the relationship, you're going to learn on the way, just like in Kabbalah. The vessel has to break, has to be rebuilt. Breaking, rebuilt. That's life. Shattering of the vessels. If a person has resilience, what does he do? He continues. If a person has, God forbid, no resilience, no emunah, he quits. So this is you cannot avoid the breaking of the vessels because it's part of creation. So this is always going to happen. You start something, you think it's going to go good, boom, it fails. It's a constant thing. So our job is to say, what's next? What's next? But we need resiliency. So when a woman sees that her husband's confident, then he lights light into her soul, and then she lights right back into him. So if my moon is good, my wife is a mirror. That's what our sages say here. The Holy Kabbalist Rav Avram Azulai, the Holy Chidah, says that the way a person acts with Hashem is exactly the way the wife will act with him. So you can't yell at the mirror. Of course there's exceptions to this. That's assuming that the mirror is on the wall. Because sometimes also, let's be very clear, sometimes many women, let's say they're fighting with their mother-in-law, not like they've ever done before, and they're stuck in the past, or they're stuck on other things. Then what happens? They're not getting the right signal either. So the tikkun for women is to literally, you have to give up your kavod. You're always wanting to be right. The real kavod has to be from Hashem. But if a woman always wants to be right, and she only wants respect all the time, remember, technically the smarter I am in life, the more I should realize that all honor really belongs to God. Correct? But when a person has a small mind, he usually has a big mouth. Correct? If a person has a big mind, he has a small mouth. So at the end of the day, we have to believe that everything that happened to life, to us, is for the best, it's for our benefit. So we also don't want to be stuck in the past. So I think one of the rectifications for women is being stuck in old relationships, rummaging the same thoughts over again, and you lose the antenna. You lose the bina, you lose the now. And then what happens? What do you get? Nothing. You get nothing. I always tell people two questions you have to ask yourself. Do you want people to look up to you, or do you want people to feel sorry for you? That's the question you have to ask yourself. If you want people to look up to you, you forgive, forget, and move on. If you want people to feel sorry for you, then continue with the stories. Bottom line. And the only way to overcome that is through faith. Faith in Torah. It's the only way. So a woman also, she wants to get this intuition to work properly, she must be focused on today. She also must be going to a relationship to give, not just to take. Remember, you're completing. The mazal really comes when people are married. That's when the mazal really comes, because that's the unification of two souls. When it's half, what happens? It's not complete. So again, what is it costing me? Ask yourself. That's why I said I got to get married quickly, because if I'm going to stay around this town and get distracted, I'm going to be in places I don't want to be. And that's going to cost my soul suffering, because any place where you're not in the right place, your soul feels the heaviness. And that's why we need all these external things to make us happy. But if we have an internal, if we fix it internally, we don't need external things to make us happy. So we need to understand that. And that's what he says from Nachman. When a person, therefore, when a husband takes responsibility for his wife and obligates to provide for her, again, this is all from the Torah. It's not anything I'm saying. This is not my opinions. And it says, I will cherish, honor, and support. He is granted a measure of authority, and through that authority, he's able to draw down shefa from upstairs. So when the guy says, you know what? I'm going to get married. I'm going to take responsibility for my life. I want to have kids. Next thing you know what? I have a business for you. All things open up for the guy. But when the guy is fooling around, not going with the right girl, not taking responsibility, what happens? He's not drawing this malchut, where shefa comes down. Now, you're going to tell me there's a lot of single guys that are very wealthy. It's not true. There's a lot of single guys that are wealthy. Let me explain to you. Just like a gambler in a casino that has 500 chips, or let's say he has $50,000, would you be jealous of him?
No.
Because he can't stop. Can't stop playing. Spirituality allows you to be content with less. So you're more content in life. That's what spirituality does. The less spirituality we have, the more we need other things to make us happy. But the more spirituality I have, I'm content with what I have. I don't need tons of other things. I don't need them. I'm happy right now. What do I need all these things? I'm in the moment. And if we don't, what happens? We need approval, etc., etc. So again, you want to draw parnasa, you want to fix your business, you want to draw parnasa, you have to be able to get married, take responsibility. Through the responsibility, Hashem blesses the marriage. That creates the vessel. The vessel brings light. Until that is happening, you're halfway. It's halfway done. And you're not optimizing who you're supposed to be. And then you're picking up a lot of klipot on the way. Believe me, I was there. I was 22 years old, throwing parties in South Beach. I thought I was having time, but I didn't understand why I was so depressed, because I was in the wrong mission. So that's why I realized, without really fixing this, you could say, "Why? I don't understand that. Why do you think there's so many people that are numb to spirituality?" One thing about our problem with that situation is that you lose the spark of spirituality. All of a sudden, the guy says, "Listen, I don't want to put on tefillin. I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to do nothing." How did you go from all to nothing? It's because that's what it does to you. Klipot distance you away from Hashem. Distance you away. You don't want to have anything to do with spirituality. That's why we have Rabbi Katz picking up people on waivers. God bless you. God bless you. You should know the amount of effort it takes to sit on Lincoln Road and go after people to do it. You have no idea how much effort. That's why I supported him 20 years ago. I've been supporting him for 20 years straight. Comes to my office every Wednesday. And as Rabbi, I give you one thing is sitting in a synagogue. He's going there. It's unbelievable work. As is explained, wealth depends on her. She is the aspect of the feet. We also have to understand from this class, I don't want people to have shame and say, "Why did I do this? How can I start now?" I shouldn't say that. I didn't know. I didn't know. What do I need to do next? That's the attitude. The attitude should not be shame, should not be guilt, because that's from the other side. Any kind of shame and guilt is from the Yetzer Hara. See, there's two sins. The minor sin is doing what you have to do, but the major sin is the depression afterwards. So we need to understand that. We need to say, okay, I'm ready to be cleansed. Remember, Teshuvah is returning back to yourself. You could just say, Hashem, I want to return back. I got lost for a while. I'm ready to go back. What do I need to do? That's the approach. It shouldn't be, how can Hashem's not going to listen to me? All this is guilt and resentment. This is not a way of Chassidut. The way of Chassidut is very simple. The way of Chassidut is, the past is gone forever. What are you doing now? Somebody asked Rabbi Nachman's main student, and he asked him, I don't understand. I had this dream about this. He says, I'm not interested in your dreams. I'm interested in what you do when you're awake. So we got to get out of La La Land and get into life. That's the purpose of the Shvirat HaKelim. What does Shvirat HaKelim do? The breaking of the vessels gets you into a realistic mindset. Let me give you an example of a Shvirat HaKelim. Let's say a guy, we all have a light that we want in life. But if that light is not measured, we shouldn't also become fanatics tomorrow and say, okay, I'm doing this, everything tomorrow, and because there's too much light for the vessel that you have. You have to do it slowly. It can't be a dramatic, all or nothing thing. Let's say, for example, somebody's 100 pounds overweight and says, you know what, tomorrow I'm going to Barry's boot camp. No more this, no more that, no more that, no more that. Maybe one day he'll do it. After the second day, he's back in cheesecake. Why? Because he says, look, I tried and I failed. Your light and your vessel have nothing to do, are not matching the same planet. So what you need to do is you need to stop drinking that Coca-Cola first. That's the first step you need to do. And then next week, we'll do one class of Barry's Boot Camp. And then the week after, we'll change your schedule. We don't want an all or nothing thing because at the end of the day, we don't have the vessel for that light right away. So we want to start with small victories. Small victories over time will get you one. So first thing for a guy, what I would do is the girls you're not supposed to be hanging out with, I don't know who you are anymore. I don't know who you are. I'm looking for my wife. I'm a different person. Remember, the addict that wants to come to rehab and says, I need to make a behavior change, is not going to get help. The guy that says, I'm not that person anymore. I'm a new identity. I'm not this person anymore. If you ever want lasting change, it has to be an identity change, not a behavior change. Behaviors don't last. Identities. That means I am not that person anymore. I'm investing in my soul. I'm looking for the second half of my wife. So again, the wives also, the girls have to say, listen, if the guy, you have to basically, it's very easy to date Jeff Bezos. But be the wife that got Jeff Bezos to be Amazon. Be that wife to say, you know what? I know where he was, and I got him to be where he is today. That's what a wife's supposed to do. She's supposed to complete him. Help him correct what he needs to work on. So it's not easy to have a coach, of course not. But it's what you need to win. And that's what God wants. Because ultimately, what's pain today? Real pain today is being away from Hashem. Any kind, even if you're struggling, if you're away from God, that's real pain. That means any problem that we have today, if it's bringing you closer to God, it's not pain. It's actually benefit. So we have to take the approach of whatever I did in the past, I have new information. Remember, the only way to have new thinking is with new information. How else am I going to have new thinking? Same thinking from yesterday, same action, same results. But if I have new thinking, I have new information, I'll have new thinking, and then the next time I'll look for a girl, you know what? I need something more, a girl with a little more depth. I need a girl with a little, I'm not just looking for that. And then you make different decisions. And then, after you make different decisions, again, you have a different life. And this is what our sages say. One who lives without a wife lives without a wall. What does it mean without a wall? Without wealth. Without protection. That's what this is a Gemara. This is not something to. So the wealth, the wife, it's connected. Even if I have mazal, let's get this straight. You could be single, you could have mazal. Some people have much better mazal than other people in wealth. But what happens? Mazal runs out. Mazal runs out. Don't think with your mazal, you have a 99-year lease on your mazal. No, it doesn't work like that. It protects you. But if a person's not investing in his mazal, what happens is mazal starts dwindling, and all of a sudden he gets involved in the wrong partner. But if he would have had a wife, the wife would have told him, don't stay away from that guy. Don't do this. Be careful. Stop smoking this. She would tell him already. What are you doing? You can't numb life. You have to run after life. You have to approach life. You can't numb it. And then what happens when a guy numbs life? She gets no light. She has no light. She's miserable because she's not receiving the light from her husband. And then she's lost. And this is unfortunately what's happening. God forbid. So again, we have to invest in ourselves. We have to invest in long-term self-esteem. Long-term self-esteem. We have to starve our distractions. We have to see, what am I looking for? Now we know. We have enough leverage now. We have money. We have intuition. We have happiness. We have less klipot. Because remember, if a guy is having relations and it's not properly, what happens? Klipot come. Klipot are half souls. Half bodies. So they go to the person that created them. Once I started seeing this stuff, I started flipping out. I said, no. I don't want to be klipot. I don't want this. I don't want that. Because I didn't know. But now I know what to do. And I started looking for my wife, and I found her. That's what we need to do. We can talk about this for I don't want to give you guys too much light, but another aspect that Nachman says in lesson 9, that the quality of your spouse is dependent upon your prayer. He says in Sefer Midot that a person can actually switch his soulmate. He can actually get an upgrade in his soulmate through prayer. not an upgrade in a rental car. I'm talking about a different person. Through prayer, Rav Nachman says you can actually change your soulmate. So again, the effort has to be based on the person, his relationship with God. The greater your relationship with God, the more you're going to want better things, the more you'll attract the person you want. Understand? It's sacrifice, because listen, we have to sometimes go in Emunah. You know, let's say you do have a 7, and you really wanted a 10. Sometimes you're going to have to go in for that 7 and say, you know what? I can make him into a 10. I can complete. That's where all the happiness is happening when they work together and they become humble and they work on and they go to a relationship to give. That's when they really turn the 7 into a 10, and the 10 again. From the 10 is where real blessing comes. So Rav Nachman says here that when a person, the quality of it, he talks about when the Jews were splitting the Red Sea. The Gemara says splitting the Red Sea and finding a zivug, finding a match, is as difficult as splitting the Red Sea. The Red Sea represents prayer. So there's a correlation between money and my spouse and my relationships. The quality of my relationships are based on my quality of prayer. I, for example, 5 o'clock in the morning, I'm up, I do my Hizbodedut 1 hour. I know this is where the victory is. I have businesses, Shalom Bayit, kids. This is where the victory has to happen in prayer. If I try to go through the day and try to change things or try to work on a defensive mode, I know I'm not going to win. So I know that anything that's good for me requires prayer and requires clarity. So again, I invest my time in prayer. So I spend 99% of my day in the morning prayer and 1% worry. Other people spend 99% of the day worrying and 1% prayer. What are you doing when you're worrying? What are you doing? You're just chasing what you don't want. You're focusing on what you don't want to happen. That's why the Latin word for worry is to strangle oneself. But again, so we need new rituals. So now, if I'm really serious about my soulmate, first thing I do is I do a spiritual cleansing. I start listening to classes. I start getting different perspective. I start investing in myself. I start investing in my vision. And that's what I'll start doing. I'll start wanting different things in a guy. I'll start praying for different things. Please Hashem, don't give me a guy that's able to complete my soul. Please Hashem, because anytime you pray for spirituality, you will get answered all the time. But when you pray only for physicality, there's a good chance that you're not praying, you're not going to get answered. But when you pray for spirituality, if you pray for example, to be able to complete your soul, to be able to be a giver, you're going to get. Now all of a sudden what happens, you meet a guy, he's got 2 kids. Welcome to becoming a giver. You're going to get in these situations all the time. I'm just going to tell you. Person's has daily tests. Oh, but I wanted a guy with no kids. My wife, when she was 22, she also wanted somebody with no kids. But she married me, and she's helping me with my kids. So whatever we plan for in life, and what our mission is usually 2 different things. So we have to really be open to everything, open to growth, open to changing, and focusing on becoming the one than looking for the one. When you put the effort on becoming the one instead of looking for the one, you're going to find it. But if you only put in the effort on looking for the one and not becoming the one, you're not going to get it. That's why in order to have your soulmate, you have to go into your soul state. Very important. Soulmate equals soul state. Another thing that people say is, once I get married, I'll light candles, or once I get married, I'll keep Shabbat. A lot of people say that. Once this happens, I'll do that. If you really want to track the situation right now to you, start keeping Shabbat right now. Then you're telling God, look, I'm doing it regardless. Then you attract. Again, this is all, I don't want people just to be looking for their soulmates without the right dot, because you're going to get what you've always gotten. So again, may Hashem help us, that we should be zocher to get this information. Again, some of this is not so fun to listen to, but it's 100% working, and the person has to be serious. And again, the guys have to realize, your zivug has nothing to do with looking. It's by keeping your brick, keeping matters of sexual, not to have test drive the car too much. Trust in the car, it's going to work. Because everything, if it's not a spiritual connection, the physicality will run out very fast. I think we could all stand for that. If there's no spiritual connection between the two people, the physicality will not last. Anybody can fall in love, but not everybody can stand in love. That's the difference. All right? That's today's class. Any questions? Good. Yes.